Let's take you live now to the Senate live pictures from the upper house where a division is underway. It's been called by One Nation, and as you can see there, Andrew Clennell, our political editor, is with me here in the studio. And Andrew, you can see there on the one side of the chamber, Pauline Hanson and Malcolm Roberts of One Nation. On the other side, every government and opposition senator. And this division is over a condemnation of Bettina Arndt and her controversial statements in the wake of the tragedy, the domestic violence tragedy and crime in Brisbane.
Yes, it's Senator Wong and Senator Keneally's motion, which the government has supported, which says that her actions are inconsistent with someone awarded an Order of Australia honour, Kieran. So the government's decided to support the opposition on this one. However, I am told that this does not mean the government's moving to strip her of her honour. The council involved in awarding those honours still has that decision before them. However, you'd think they'd take the hint from this. I have a government statement here, Kieran, from John O'Duniam, the Deputy Manager of Government Business. He says, "We will support the motion. Comments like those expressed by Ms Arndt are abhorrent and unacceptable. There are never any excuses or justifications for family violence or the evil that Hannah Clarke and her children experienced. The government does not make decisions to award or cancel honours in the Order of Australia, and government senators respect the independence and confidentiality of the deliberations of the Council for the Order of Australia in making recommendations to the Governor-General." Having said that, I guess you'd expect the council to go the way of the government on this matter. It's a pretty strong sign to them when the government supports this motion. A bit of trouble for Bettina Arndt and her honour coming up, I think. And
Pauline Hanson is basically the argument that she's making this afternoon, among other things, is that she believes the Queensland police officer in that case was unfairly attacked for remarks in the wake of that horrific crime in Brisbane. So no doubt as to the result in this particular division on a motion, as you said, moved by Christina Keneally and Penny Wong, but with the government and Labor all on one side, that's a clear result. Let's look at another issue now, Andrew. While I've got you here, I want to talk to you about the latest on the emissions reduction debate, because within the coalition there is a push to go even harder than what they've done thus far, well, certainly within the National Party at least.
That is absolutely right, Kieran. So I've spoken to some Nationals MPs who believe that Michael McCormack should muscle up and go even harder on this. Now, it's fair to say these people are Barnaby Joyce backers, but they want McCormack to come out and make similar statements to Barnaby Joyce and Matt Canavan. They want McCormack to say, to rule this out, in effect, and to put pressure on Scott Morrison to rule this out. Now, the Prime Minister's so far poured cold water on government support for the target, certainly attacking Anthony Albanese for committing to an uncosted plan, but he hasn't ruled it out. And people like Matthias Cormann, I guess, have alluded to a potential target down the track, and Angus Taylor's talked about a technology strategy for 2050. Some Nationals want more than that. A reassurance for their base that the government will not be adopting the target. And I guess this issue shapes as yet another kind of leadership test for Michael McCormack.
And the challenge here, though, is that the Prime Minister has promised the Pacific leaders that he would look at the idea of net zero emissions by 2050, and he did that. Obviously, he wants to maintain good faith with leaders in the region. So you've got that on the one hand, and that process on the other, the Nats, who are against it, some of them, at all costs.
That's right, and I think the fact these Nationals, and there's a number of them, are so opposed to this is precisely why, or one of the main reasons why, apart from some in the right of the Liberal Party, the Prime Minister can't and won't support this target. Because, you know, he doesn't want to split the coalition. He's only got a margin of 2, so he just doesn't need this fight. But he can find other ways to show he's tackling emissions without going to that sort of target, and I think that's what we'll see in coming months. I think we'll see a report come back from Angus Taylor and his department suggesting it's just too difficult to go zero net emissions in Australia at least.
And then this week as well, we're waiting for the technology roadmap, expected this week in some form, which is going to have a big focus on the, as the chief scientist put it, the hero hydrogen as the new technology.
That's right, absolutely. I mean, we said yesterday hydrogen is a big focus. This is a way that the gas and coal industries can keep sort of going, but there's a way to extract hydrogen in a zero emissions way, the chief scientist was saying. I mean, there was another report today, they'll put nuclear in the mix, but I can't imagine that happening. But there is a good point to be made there politically, I guess, that Boris Johnson's able to commit to zero net emissions because he's got nuclear in the mix and we don't.